Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. And this video is about responsibility, the responsibility to others with food plans and ideas and information. And so I never ever want to give misinformation about something. I give my opinions here, which sometimes might be taken in a way that feels like it's personal, and I have nothing personal. I'm not aiming at anybody when I talk about what it is that I do, when I try to preface that, which is my path. And oftentimes on our path, we do what we do, believing that this is the new and better for us. And, my journey, I started as a fat little child that substituted food for love for decades. And so my experience of my food addiction comes from 50 years of eating instead of either giving love, getting love, understanding love, learning about love, all of the things. It was my friend. It never had, I never had to do anything to earn it. Earn its love or its approval. It was just always there. All I had to do was start babysitting at 9, and I could buy all the candy that I wanted if it wasn't coming into the house by way of, my parents buying it or whatever. So at 9, I had a tennis ball can filled with my dollars from babysitting, and part of my babysitting was to take the children to the playground that, conveniently next to a store that sold penny candy. How convenient. Or as the church lady would say, how convenient. And so we would trudge over there and buy some penny candy, and I would give them a couple of pieces that would satisfy them, but they were having more fun with the playground equipment. And I would sit on a swing and shove the candy in. And so I knew at a young age I had found my bestie, my best friend through thick and thin, in my room, out of my room, in the car, in my lunch pail, at camp, under my pillow, care packages begged for from grandparents and my parents, send candy, send food. I was a dyed-in-the-wool food addict. Did I know what food addiction was? Of course not. All I knew is that this is what worked for me. My parents were drinkers, pill poppers, and having affair type of people. So that was their addiction. And at 9 years old, I learned that my addiction could be food. And it was perfectly legal, a little bit different than theirs. And so I would overeat mostly sugary things. I didn't get into the other carbs until later, but it was sugar for me. It was frosting, it was brownie mix, it was cookie dough mix, it was candy. And I wasn't into sodas that much, although I had them, but when I did, it was probably classic Coke and ginger ale. And so I became a food addict. And in my early 20s, I entered into Overeaters Anonymous. And there I learned about my food addiction, the emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of my food addiction. Food was the substance, but the disease was all of the other stuff going on, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, the voids in my life. And so in my early 20s, I learned that eating food was medicating, was covering up, was tamping down emotions and covering up feelings that couldn't be expressed any other way. So if I felt something, fill in the blank, I would eat. I was in my early 20s. So I already had one divorce and was in a pretty shaky second marriage with 2 little kids. And so I was addicted to food and booze. But food was always my my savior. It was always the legal thing. There's just such a legal part about it. It is a socially accepted sort of thing. And I could eat and eat and eat in private, in public, and it was just accepted. But yet I knew that I had this addiction, and I knew when I was one bite away from it. And once I entered into Overeaters Anonymous, I learned that I am a pickle. I will never go back to being a cucumber again. And a cucumber is kind of either in denial or naive about something. And in my case, it was my food addiction. And so as long as I stayed in denial before Overeaters Anonymous, I could eat and I could come up with all kinds of different ways of thinking that I could lose the weight. And it was really not about the weight, although it's about the weight, right? And so once I entered into Overeaters Anonymous, I learned I was a pickle, just like with my Pearls of Wisdom and Food. It's filled with pickles. And to me, a pickle is a person that's a food addict that understands they have traded off dealing with emotions and feelings and things like that for food. And food is their substance. It is their drug of choice. And they probably will learn, if they stick around, that we learn about what happened inside of us that made us turn to the food. It's not simply that we just like to eat McDonald's. It's like, what did it provide for us? How did they sell it to us? Now, the food industry and the food manufacturers and the food flavorings industry have a grip on people like us, the food addicts, because they cater to our disease, especially the standard American diet. And so that's why I'm always emphasizing reading those labels and seeing what those ingredients are. And I often say, if your grandmother wouldn't recognize either the word or the item, don't eat it. I really stress the wholesome, whole foods aspect about what's out there. And the standard American diet is not a healthy diet. It follows the USDA guidelines of having 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates a day. And that is not what our body needs. Our body needs healthy fats. It needs tons of veggies. It needs real food, real leafy greens, great fruits, a little protein, things that haven't been tampered with. And that has always been my message, loud and clear. And I treat most of my videos as if I'm dealing with people that are on the same path as me, maybe not totally in touch with their food addict, but they're coming to understand that there's more to food than just loving it. That there is a reason they choose certain things. Some of it might be sentimental, some of it might be because of the triggers, because of the marketing of something. It might be that it's there. It might be just that it's still legal. But we find our niche, our unhealthy niche of what works for us. And that has brought us to places where maybe we're overweight. And we know that we don't want to be overweight anymore. So the overweight part is what kicks in first. And we come to see, if we stay here long enough and go to enough meetings or listen to enough podcasts or different Facebook pages or YouTubes, we come to see that there is something that's not good for us, healthy for us, a choice for us to turn to emotional eating. It can get us into trouble. And so we need to get a little bit raw. So when I talk about giving up grains and sugar in my journey, it's my journey. And I don't mean to bash anybody else's choices. I don't mean to target anybody, hurt anybody's feelings. This is just what has worked for me. And that's all I can share. And if you're on a different program and you continue to watch me, I honor whatever program you're on. I just want you to be safe. I want you to continue to make healthy, wholesome food decisions. And so it's a mess out there with the food industry in America. They have targeted us. They have found us. They know that they can keep us and keep us eating things that aren't good choices for us, and we don't need to eat those things. And I don't want to see any of you eat those things and continue your struggle. And some people take paths that lead them to great weight loss, and it's great, and they go along, and then suddenly they're saying, I want to upgrade my food choices. I want to eat healthier. My doctor says my markers in my lab work need adjusting. And so hopefully what you're learning here and in other places about ditching something and eating better, making a better food choice, a better bad choice along the way to the best, most optimum food choice, you will learn about it here. You will learn that the food industry does not have our best interests at heart. You will learn that the USDA guidelines are for the agricultural industry, not for your belly, not for your weight, not to keep your weight off. So you just need to have some education about choices. And I just like to shine a light on some of the things that go down that aren't in our best interest. And so you need to be a scientist, a researcher, a tracker, and all those sort of things. You know, shopping the outsides of the food aisles, staying away from processed foods in boxes, in bags, at stores, the drive-through diet. You need to be careful of all of those things. They have the bottom line of profit in mind, not your health. And so my concern is about not only losing weight, but losing it slowly if need be, in a healthy choice way. Giving up processed foods, maybe sugar, maybe all grains, unless they are the certain grains that get the check mark from some people. I don't have them anymore, but that doesn't mean that they don't work for you. Your food plan may work for you. I'm just saying, if it doesn't, you can always eat healthy, eat wholesome, look for organic, give up grains, give up sugar, not line anybody's pockets. Giving up grains doesn't make anybody rich, except maybe Dr. William Davis and anybody else. But he's not out there to be rich, just like I'm not out there to be rich. This is what I consider my give back, right? I've learned a lot from being in Overeaters for over 40 years. I've learned a lot from being in Weight Watchers. I've learned a lot by being low carb, high fat. And so I'm here to share what I've learned. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Don't get me wrong. What you're doing may be working for you. I am not out to bash anybody else's program. I honor you, the person that is trying to do something for yourself. But I am here to not promote garbage, to not promote highly processed U.S.-made foods. They aren't healthy for you. There is no essential grain necessary in your food plan. Does that mean you're going to give up bread? Maybe you don't have to. That's great, but just be aware that you can upgrade your choices of American food and still continue down the path of getting more healthy. That is always my goal. Sure, losing weight is great, but it's flipping the philosophy. I had a video about that, making not losing weight the philosophy as much as making healthy choices, getting rid of some of the things that are going to keep you stalled from losing weight. That would be sugar, that would be grains. I'm not saying it, they are saying it. Do your research. But I'm saying giving up sugar and grains worked for me. Low carb, high fat is working for me today. Who knows, tomorrow it could be something else, and you will hear about it. We all do our journey different. And what makes us content on the inside is my goal for you. What makes us healthy on the inside is my goal for you. What makes your labs just sing and have the nurse practitioners and the doctors and specialists all say, I don't know what you're doing, but your labs are remarkable. That's my goal. So please, if somebody takes anything that I say personally, it's just about my journey. It's just about my concerns. I want your best for you. I have no skin in a game profit-wise. I just want to see you healthy, content, yes, losing weight, but not struggling, not rushing to something that may not work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. That's how we learn. That's how I learned I couldn't be just gluten-free. I had to be grain-free. And it was costly buying all those products and ditching all those products. But it's what I did. And it's what you might have to do too. But please, nobody take offense if it feels like I might have knocked something that you're doing. That was not my intention. My intention is to honor your path, just like I honor my path and share what works for me. Have a wonderful day. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. Bye-bye for now.